I've recently been feeling nostalgic for the Flash games I used to play years ago. Learn to Fly, Age of War, The Heist 2, as well as around a dozen others. And while I was reminiscing, I found out that one of my all-time favorites, Creeper World, actually got a new release in 2020, so I decided to check it out. And well, after around 2 weeks of binging the game, I think it's safe to say that I like it. So, if you've never played Creeper World before, it's basically a tower defense game, where you collect resources which are then used to build weapons, logistic networks, as well as more collectors. Unlike a lot of Flash tower defense games I've played, you can place items anywhere you want and don't face enemies in waves. Instead, everything is real time. Missions have varying objectives, though usually you need to activate some totems, which involves fighting through the creep and extending your supply network out to support your advance. In general, all the games are the same, though 4 is definitely the most refined by far, including being the first in full 3D. So let me take you on an adventure into the latest version of one of my favourite Flash games. Though since Flash died a few years ago, this is now all made in Unity, of course. You start each mission by selecting where you want your base to sit on the map, and then we'll usually build resource collectors, which will also work as slow logistics nodes. Later missions will include extra resources to collect that provide ammo for advanced weapons, let you build walls or make shields, but in general your bread and butter will be the collector nodes, both making and sending ammo down to the outskirts of your control zone. Out there you'll be trying to hold back the Creeper, a slow moving blue mass that relentlessly moves to cover the entire map. In general it has no intelligent movement, but just aims to swallow the whole world. To take it out you have to fight your way to its spawners and then use a special weapon to paralyze them. It sounds simple, and in comparison to the other strategy games I play, it really is. But at the same time, I was shocked how well the dev has tuned it for fun gameplay. So let me break down why I like it so much. The game opens with a brief tutorial before, shockingly, the Creeper arrives and you use a state-of-the-art spaceship to warp to safety. Though tragically, you miss your jump to Mars and end up planet hopping trying to find your way back to it. Being the 4th game in the series, there is some background lore mentioned in Mission 1, though honestly, this isn't the kind of series that you need to play in order. So as the levels progress, you'll go from just having simple collectors and turrets I mentioned, to more advanced weapons like anti-air, snipers, and mortars, which often coincide with new creeper types appearing. Usually you'll get one new item every level or two, though not all of them are weapons, such as unlocking terraforming tools, shields, and new ways to move supplies around. By the end of the game, you'll have more than enough weapons to make up your own playstyle. Personally, when I unlocked bombers, I went out of my way to use them as much as possible, as well as moving dozens of basic turrets over each other to push into creeper territory in kind of a fire by line style. The difficulty does ramp up as the game goes on because of the new enemy types, but more than anything, they serve to keep the game fresh and let you really learn the strengths of new weapon types, as well as give you the challenge of learning how to defend your base against these new forms of creep. The amount of times that the enemy mortars landed behind my lines and took out my entire logistic network made me really prioritize air defense in later missions. It's hard to describe, but the feeling of slowly pushing back the Creeper is just really fun. Like, there was one mission I was playing where I overextended early on and got punished really badly for it. But after managing to hold the line, I got to slowly recover and push the creep back methodically. And this will sound really stupid, but it's almost the same as playing Hearts of Iron. Sure, Creeper World is going for a simpler, shorter session style of gameplay, but setting up your logistics, getting troops and planes ready, and then launching an invasion across a narrow choke point is something I love in both games. Which, while I'll probably never get 600 hours in Creeper World, this game actually has a lot of content. Missions took me anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour to beat, though I definitely play a slow methodical style where I want to reclaim every single part of the map, which is definitely not needed to win. The main campaign has 20 missions, putting it at roughly 12-hour playtime, though that was just the beginning. With a pretty minimal story and every map being quite different, I actually think it's pretty replayable if you want to try a speedrunning type thing, since the game does give you stats on how other players have done on each level. On top of the campaign, you have daily missions, a series of challenge maps, as well as an entire level editor and user level section. If you got hooked on this game, I do think you could spend hundreds of hours in it. There's an experimental co-op multiplayer as well, though I didn't manage to wrangle anyone into testing it with me, so I can't talk about how good it is. I do normally try and talk about a flaw in a game when I read a review that's nothing but positive like this, just to show that I'm not blind to issues. And hell, the worst thing about this game is probably that the graphics are a bit simplistic and can at points be a bit visually cluttered. But comparing this to the graphics of Creeper World 3, it's such a huge leap forward for the series that I feel like it isn't really an issue. Though I'm curious to think what newbies to the franchise would think about it. Okay, so this game doesn't have a huge story or anything, but spoilers ahead for the few twists that it does have, plus some late game weapon unlocks, because I was so impressed with them, I kinda don't want to take that feeling away from someone who knows they're going to play this. There's a timestamp on screen if you want to skip ahead to the end. So, the story began with you planet hopping trying to get to Mars. At the very end you get a pretty good twist that you actually always made it to Mars, but just Mars in a different time, and always when the creep were about to attack. It basically works like the Reaper in Mass Effect, coming in to harvest any sufficiently advanced civilization. Anyway, the last few missions after this have some really cool in-engine effects that open up a million possibilities for custom maps, but also unlock missiles and airships as the final two incredibly powerful weapons. I had written most of the rough draft for this review before this mission, so I already really liked the level design and gameplay loop of Creeper World, but this final mission was just incredible. By far the hardest of the campaign, and it just solidified everything I thought about the game. I doubt the devs will ever see this video, but if they do, I want them to know just how much I liked the entire campaign. Before I wrap this up, I feel as if I haven't emphasized enough just how satisfying it is to go from barely holding your corner of a map to pushing the creep back. The quality of the level design as well as the trickle of new items throughout the campaign really made this game far better than I expected. I've shown clips on screen of a few different missions and I hope that's able to justify just how fun it is. Because I'll be honest, when I saw this game was going for €20, I was somewhat skeptical. As I said, I really liked the Flash games, but I didn't know if this would be more of the same and if that would be worth €20 to me. But I'm happy to say it definitely is worth it. I mentioned the amount of hours I put in already, as well as all the other content left in the game, but I was very happy with it in general. It captured everything I liked about the old ones, while still adding a ton of new changes that were all great. There is a demo on Steam if you're on the fence about it, or you could even probably try and play some of the old games as well to see if you like the general concept. But if you've made it to this part of the video, you're probably going to like it. So yeah, this video was a bit on the shorter side. I've had a busy month and I'm about to change jobs, but as always, more reviews to come, eventually. I truly appreciate all of you who watch this crap, and I'll see you next time.